Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
Hello and welcome to the Leveling Up Podcast with me, George Swift. The Leveling Up Podcast is here to give you the personal development, the entrepreneurial development, the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the motivation, the inspiration, but above all else, to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Don't forget, subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about your purpose, about your role. What is your purpose? What is your role? You'll hear a lot of people talking about this. They'll be talking about purpose most of the time. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of what I talk about is more around purpose than it is role. So when we grow up, it's all about what role do you want to be? You know, what job do you want to be? What is it you want to do? Rather than the purpose, which is what is it that you're part of? What is it you're trying to create? What's the mission? What is it you're trying to serve with? They're all purpose kind of questions. But when we grow up, it's all about what do you want to do? What do you want to be? What job do you want to have? Who do you want to work for? So it's all focused heavily around the role. And I get business owners and entrepreneurs to come back to their purpose, their why, as Simon Sinek would call it. The reason being is because without a strong sense of purpose, without a strong sense of why you're here, a strong sense of meaning behind you as an individual, behind your business, your products, your services, your life, then you lack a huge motivator, a huge driver. You're lacking a huge amount of inspiration that you can tap into inside of yourself. Success is a long game. Life is a long game. And if you've got purpose behind you, you've got a mission ahead of you, a vision that you're trying to work towards, it's very, very powerful for engaging your energy and getting you to commit and persist with that commitment in order to see your life, your success through to its ultimate conclusion. However, today I'm also going to talk heavily about the role, because actually the two things do go hand in hand. If we start with the role, then we miss out on purpose. If we start with the business and don't think about the purpose or the meaning behind the business, we miss out on a huge amount of that motivation and drive and inspiration. However, once we've got that sense of purpose, then we say, right, what's my role within that? What is it I do specifically in that purpose, specifically towards that vision, that aim? What's my specific role in the world? Does this make sense? And when you have those two things combined, it's a very potent force. So first of all, I'll talk to you about purpose. Your purpose is the meaning behind you as a human being. It's the reason for being alive. It's the reason for existing. All of these things keep people above the water in terms of their emotional state, their positivity, but it also drives them and fuels them. So what is your purpose? Your purpose will feel fluffy by nature. It won't be specific. The role is specific. The purpose is by default. It's the why. It's going to be fluffy. It's going to be potentially intangible. It's going to be to help, to serve, to heal, to bring laughter. It's going to be to make life easier for people. It's going to be to help animals, to save the planet, save the world. It could be a global purpose like that, or it could be a really simple purpose, one which is to create an amazing environment for my family, to create an opportunity for my kids, to create an opportunity for my society, for whatever it might be. Okay, that's the purpose behind what it is that you're doing. Have you given much thought to what your purpose is? Have you given much thought to why you exist as a human being, why your business exists as a business, as an entity, and why your products and services matter? I've talked about this in episodes before because it's really powerful. It's powerful because people will tune into that sense of purpose. People will tune into your mission more than just your product. People buy a product because they need a product. They'll buy into you because of what you stand for, why you exist. So are you here to help people in certain ways? Not the specifics, that's the role. Are you here to help people think clearly, see clearly, to be healthier, to live longer, to have a more fulfilled life? A personal trainer that just does personal training because they like the gym is missing out on all that fuel. And also they're missing out all that opportunity to connect and communicate with their audience, and therefore to be much more successful, both in themselves and also in what it is they're trying to do. So rather than being a personal trainer because I like the gym and I like working out and that's why I'm a trainer, is it about, getting people to tap into something within them? Is it about getting people to be healthier, more vibrant, to be more fulfilled, to live longer? Is it bigger than that? Is it to counteract some of the negative impacts of how our society works today, which is counterproductive to health? Is it about sculpting the best version of someone physically out of the raw material that they have currently? What's the purpose? It doesn't have to be deep and meaningful. It just needs to be meaningful. It doesn't have to be save the planet, save the people, save the whale, curing cancer. It doesn't have to be any of those things. But it needs to matter. It needs to matter to you, and it needs to matter to your client, to your audience. It needs to matter to your part of the world. What I do at Success Groups in a Bigger, Brighter, Bolder, it's not relevant to pretty much anybody that isn't in business. But it's really relevant to those that are in business. But it's not that relevant to those people in massive businesses, corporates. They'll take something from this, I'm sure. The psychology and the mindset, etc. They'll take from that. Where am I really relevant? I'm really relevant to you, the small, ambitious business owner. You might be yet to do a first 100K in business. You might be doing 20, 30, 40, 50K turnovers. Maybe you're doing a few 100K, maybe even doing 1 million or so. You're almost certainly, if you're following this podcast, you're in that kind of camp. And the vast majority of you, just statistically speaking, are going to be under 100 grand, 20, 30, 40, 50K businesses. So this is hugely relevant. You are my tribe. You are my passion. You are my purpose. You are my reason for being here. You're the reason my business exists, and you're the reason that this podcast exists. And that's a huge driving force behind everything that we do. I'm not here to save the whole of mankind. I'm here to help you achieve your business growth, achieve success, so that you can have the life fulfillment that you want to have, the experience of life that you want to have for you, your family, and whatever else is important to you. If it's just you and your family, I'm backing that. If you want to go out and help society on a wider scale, I'm going to back that as well. If you want to help the world, then I'm 100% behind that as well. So that's why I exist. That's my purpose behind what we're doing. I'm here to help people to set themselves free from their limitations of what they were born into through no choice of their own. So the society, the environment they were born into, the parents they were born into, that did the best they possibly could. We did an episode on this just last week. But fundamentally, maybe have some self-imposed limitations, some issues within themselves, or some blocks and barriers. Maybe it's some know-how that's missing, some skills and abilities, some strategies, some processes to help you overcome all of those obstacles so you can create the business that you want to create. Because fundamentally, I believe the world needs to be created on small business. I believe that huge business and big business and mega corporations, on the whole, whilst I have an Apple phone in my pocket, I'm recording this right now on an Apple laptop, and I might even have somewhere right next to me a can of Coke in my hand. Whilst I've got all those things going on right now, the bottom line is really simple. A lot of what is big business and big corporate does not serve us as a society and a planet on the whole. It brings in some great products and stuff like that, but fundamentally, it's not necessarily the best thing for all of us. Small businesses are the fabric of society. You've heard me say this a lot if you've been listening to my podcast over the last few months. We're the fabric of society. In the UK, 1 in 10 working people, roughly, runs their own business, right? So what that means is actually we are the ground level that create the society that the rest of society exists within, the rest of the civilization exists within. We're being dominated by a handful of mega corporations. Some of them are terrible and are doing terrible things to our health, to our livelihoods, doing terrible things to the planet. And some of them are doing some good things. But they dominate the whole of civilization. But I do believe society fundamentally is built on the tapestry of small business entrepreneurs like you, like myself, like all of us. That's my reason, that's my purpose, that's my why, that's what drives me. So my bigger vision is not just about helping you individually in your business, but understanding that if I can help enough businesses, and maybe there's other people like me helping enough other businesses, that together we realize our true potential as small business entrepreneurs to create society, to create the future world that we live in better and more prosperous for us all. Not just us small business owners, but for all people. I believe that we have the capacity to fundamentally change society, fundamentally change the world we live in. And most of us, we sit passively just trying to scratch around the dirt to make a living for ourselves. I believe there's a much bigger purpose behind us collectively coming together. What's yours? What's your purpose? Not the role. The role that I have right now is this of broadcasting this podcast message to you. One of education, inspiration, motivation. What's the purpose, though, behind what you do? What's the purpose behind your existence, your life? It's bigger than your business. It's bigger than you. It could well be bigger than your family, and it might even be bigger than your part of the world, your society that you're part of, your town, your village, maybe even your city. It could be much, much bigger than that. Something for humanity, something that would benefit. You don't have to go out and cure something on a global level. You can be part of something at a small level, a social level, that has a bigger impact when it connects with everybody else who's like-minded with you, that does create a global change. If you're lacking that purpose, you're lacking that meaning, then you are missing out on a huge fundamental driver in life, but also something that is fundamental to overall fulfillment. To feel that I matter, that what I do matters, that what I create matters, that my product matters, my service matters, that my clients matter, what I do for them really matters. It's such a powerful driver, especially when times are tougher, like maybe they might be for you right now. It's a fuel source to tap into that keeps you waking up, keeps you pushing forward, keeps you driving forward. It enables you to keep taking the knocks, the hits, to keep getting yourself off your knees and to keep moving forward, because what you're doing matters so much. When we don't matter, when what I do doesn't matter, there's no point to it. When there's no point to it, that leads us to very dark places. What's your purpose? Now, I'm not expecting you to answer that question right now listening to this, and maybe you've already done this work and you know what your purpose is. Either way, it's good to come back to and hone it and question it. This isn't about crafting a vision statement or mission statement that manipulates or sells people into thinking you're a nice person or you're a great business or into buying some products. It's nothing like that. This is you tapping into a deep sense of why you matter, why your business matters, and why what you do matters. You don't have to ever speak of it. It may trickle out in what you do. But when you have it, it's like DNA in your life. It's DNA in your business, that even if you never mention it, it still goes into everything that you touch and everything you create. It's still going to be present in all that you do, regardless of whether you announce it or not. Now, I talk more about my purpose than maybe you might, simply because I'm obviously using it as an analogy, as a example to other people to help them understand what their purpose might look like. Not as a replication of mine, but as their own version. And therefore, when they step into that version for themselves, you can bring it into your messaging, your communication, your marketing. You can shout about it from the treetops, or it can sit quietly inside of you and just emanate and ooze out into everything that you're doing. People will still pick up on your purpose regardless of whether you speak it or not. They'll feel your authenticity, your honesty. They'll trust you. They'll feel your passion. They'll feel your drive. And that is compelling and it's attractive, and people will be drawn and magnetized to it, regardless of whether you speak it or not. You might need to go away and do a little bit of thinking about this. Maybe you've lost your way recently. Maybe you thought you knew what your purpose was and you're wavering. Maybe you still feel you know what your purpose is, but you haven't looked at it recently, reevaluated it recently, applied it to current events. Or maybe you've never even thought about the concept before and this is the first time you heard about it. Either way, you might want to go away and do a little bit of homework, if I can be so bold, to really start to tap into that for yourself. Once you understand what your purpose is, then it's about the role. So what's my role within this purpose? So, my role in my club is one of creating an environment. My role in my club is one of facilitating an environment, a culture. It's one of focusing my ambitious business owners, no matter what level they're at, to achieve their goals, to set their goals, to dare to think bigger, to dream bigger, to tap into that version of themselves that would truly fulfill themselves and fulfill all they could achieve in this world. My role is to educate, and I produce content and I broadcast that content frequently. It's to contribute to their individual businesses in the group environments, the mastermind environments. It's also to keep abreast of, changes in the marketplace. It's to help them tap into their own mindset to release more of who they are and to be able to apply themselves in better ways. I'm here to help steer them into the direction of people that can help them, to steer them in the direction of better information, education, skills, abilities, to help them understand what they should be doing, shouldn't be doing, to help them understand more clearly what it is they really want to achieve in life, to challenge them, to push them, to hold them accountable. So I have many roles that all align with that overriding purpose. My business could be a whole host of different businesses and still fulfill upon my overriding purpose, which is to help you, the small ambitious business owner, achieve more of what you want to achieve, and then to take that positivity to create a web, a tapestry of small businesses that enhance society as a whole. There's many versions of my business that could look like that. Being the coach, the mentor, the educator, the motivator, the inspirer, the driver, the pusher, the accountability buddy. That's one particular role or set of roles that I perform now in the fulfillment of my overall true purpose. So what's your role? What's your role within that sense of purpose? Now, if you don't have the purpose, your role is likely to be a little bit flat. It's going to be something like, I'm a web developer, I'm a personal trainer, I fix TVs, I make blinds, whatever your business might be. I do HR, I do recruitment, I do marketing. Well, that role isn't particularly inspiring for you or anybody else. Once you understand your purpose, then you can better understand your role and better communicate your role. And again, even if you don't ever communicate that role, just you having that understanding will bring clarity to that role for you. So you understand that here's my purpose and here's my role that I'm playing within this purpose. And instead of going out there, blindly just doing whatever it is that you're doing in the world, there's now real clarity behind it, real purpose and vision behind it, a real sense of meaning behind what you're doing, and a real clarity about what you're doing and how you fulfill upon that. So once you have your role, your overriding role, then let's say we go into a set of situations like we find ourselves in right now. We're going into some really tough economic times. I mean, for many of us, we're already in tough economic times. Society as a whole is going through a very dark period. So then what you can ask yourself is, once you understand your purpose and you understand your overriding roles, like I've just described to you, you then say, right, given the current situation we're going through, or a crisis that we're going through, or an opportunity that we're facing, within that, what's my specific role in this as it plays out? What's my specific role in this set of circumstances right now? So I have an overriding role. Like I said before, I won't go through them all again, but it's basically coach, mentor, educator, motivator. Now, specifically right now, given what we're going through, what is my specific role? How am I functioning? What am I doing within that role based on the very specific situations that we find ourselves in right now? Well, a big one for me is education. I'm not here to steer you one way or the other. I'm here to enlighten you. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to help you to broaden a perspective so you can see more of what's available, more opportunities available to you, in order to allow yourself to achieve more of what it is that you want to achieve. And to have, ultimately, as I keep saying, this ultimate purpose, which is I want you to have the true fulfillment of life that you have available to you. Specifically in this current situation, if you're following my podcast over the past few months or so, you'll see that whilst I'm still educating on business and sales, and I'm still steering, and I think probably business owners like never before have needed that hand-holding to know that they're not alone, to know that there is a path through this thing, what they should do, shouldn't do. I think it's become even more important given what we're going through. But if you listen to this podcast on a regular basis, you'll also hear that actually one of my roles that I'm taking on, that I believe one of my purposes, given the current climate, which aligns to my overall roles and my overall purposes, is one of helping small, ambitious business owners understand the key part that they can play in creating a version of the world that we want to choose for ourselves, a version of the world that we want to live in, a more optimistic, more positive, a better, more fulfilled world for every human being. And I believe we can absolutely do that. Now, this is an overriding, overreaching sense of purpose that I've already described to you. But right now, given the situation that we find ourselves in the world, I want to inspire you not just to go out and create success. I want to inspire you not only to go out there and, do the sales that you need to do, the marketing you need to do, to create better products, to serve people. But I want you to really understand that you play a much bigger part in the world than maybe you thought you did. And at a time where the world is evolving so fast and we're being pushed and mandated and directed down certain paths, which may or may not align with the future vision for your life and the world that you want to live in, I think it's increasingly important that we understand the power we play in this as small, ambitious business owners at ground level, no matter how small we are. Like most business owners are one-man bands. We're one-woman bands. They're solopreneurs, right? But every one of us, we're building this fabric of society. We are what society sits upon. It's ancient. In the old days, there were no big corporations. It was all small business owners, independent business owners. It was the blacksmith, and it was the baker, and it was the cobbler. And they were society. That's what society was based on, the fishmonger, the butcher. And I do genuinely believe that we are still the fabric of society, but we've allowed ourselves to be totally dominated by these big, huge mega corporations and politics and government and all these things that have their own agenda, some of which I categorically believe are not in alignment with our best interests. I believe we can change society from the ground up as small business owners. And my role, as I see it right now, is to bring that call to action. Everything else is still the same. Educate, motivate, inspire, help people out, support people, create environments in my clubs that bring out the best in people, that support people, that push people to do more and be better, but also they offer a hand to help people up when times are really tough. Nothing's changed there. But specifically right now, given what we're facing as a community, as what we're facing as a society, as a global society, I also see my role as one of bringing business owners together to create an ecosystem of small business where we get to create the version of the world that we want to live in, that's good for us and is better for everybody else as well. What's your purpose? What's your overriding governing role that facilitates that purpose? And fundamentally, right now, given what we're going through, what's the specific nature of that role? Why are you here? What's your purpose? What's the role you're going to play in this world? What's your legacy? What are you going to be remembered for? You don't have to be remembered nationally or globally, but what are your kids going to say about you? Your grandkids going to say about you? I always say sometimes, the value of someone's life is when you pass away, who's there and what are they saying? Who is there and what are they saying? Do you have lots of people that love you and lots of people that respect you and admire you and lots of people that miss you? And are they saying wonderful things about you? Are they saying you're a nice bloke? Well, okay, thanks. Or are they saying, you know what, that guy stood for something. He did something. That woman, my God, she was a force in this world. Look at what she did. Look at who she touched. Look at all the good that she did. Not just for her family, but look at what she did for her society. For me, I truly believe that's our judgment day. When we die, who is there and what are they saying about us says so much about how we lived our life and what we achieved in life. What is your purpose? What's your governing overall roles that align with that purpose, that deliver as your small part in that overriding purpose? And right now, the call to action, what's your role in how the world is unfolding right now? Nice one. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to this podcast, please do subscribe and it will ping you whenever there are new episodes every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Business growth, personal development, entrepreneurial development, inspiration, motivation, raising your aspirations in order to create the life that you want to live, in order to have the impact that you want to have at the scale that you would choose for yourself. If you are a small, ambitious business owner and you haven't yet hit 100K, then get yourself on the six-figure fast track. The six-figure fast track can be found at biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk/fast track. I'll drop that link in the descriptions as well as other links to other resources to help you on your own journey of entrepreneurial success. But the six-figure fast track, it takes you through the six-figure mindset you need to have in place, the six-figure business model, and the six-figure day-to-day methodologies. The rules for success, they haven't changed. It's just become 10 times more important that we apply them. It's completely free of charge. It's waiting for you right now. Now, when you also get there, you also see links to some live events that I have coming up. We go through the same content in a more interactive workshop way. You do some actual real work there. There's Q&A involved in that as well. I'd love to see you on one of those as well. If you have already achieved 100K or more, then we've got Extreme Growth Masterminds. These are for business owners that have broken 100K and they want to start to double year on year. We've got business owners in there, by the way, that started their businesses out at 150, that went to 350, 750 to 1.5 million, 2.2 million and onwards in consecutive years. People that went from 50K to over 100K on the 6-figure fast track, that went from over 100K to over 200K to 400K again in consecutive years. If you're an ambitious business owner, you've broken 100K in turnover and you want to take your business to the next level, then why not check out Extreme Growth Masterminds? You'll also see a link to that as well in the descriptions. You'll see an email for Tracy Miller, my partner in life and in business. You can have a conversation with her and see if we are right for you, if you're right for us, and if our community is the one that's going to get you onto your own extreme growth track. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, as always, be successful.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.